Hey folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome to the Farm Vlog today. We are here with Herb Atwell at Mountain Valley Hops in Axton, Virginia, and I thought I'd take you to a place and show you how hops are grown. So we're going to take you around the hop yard here. We're going to show you what's going on. We'll teach you a little bit about how hops are grown, and we'll also take you into the brewery and introduce you to this guy. So come along on the Farm Vlog today. We're going to have some fun, and we'll teach you a little bit about hops. Hops for beer, not hops like a bunny. All right? Woo! Stoney Ridge. From Stoney Ridge. Stoney Ridge Farm. All right, Herb, so tell me a little bit about what you got going here. These are hops. How long have they been established? What do you have here? Tell me about it.
Well, these are Cascade, and they're about 4 years old. We started the field about 4 years ago. We started as a hobby. Got some rhizomes. We planted them. They came up, and it was something that was new to the area, so we were like, well, we've got some land and didn't know what to do with it, and it's like, let's try some and see. Yeah. So these are Cascades. Like I said, there's about over hundreds of our different varieties of hops, and we're just finding out, which ones will grow in the area, which ones won't. They're, worldwide, so different areas in the world have different types of hops, and that's what actually makes different types of beer.
Okay. And you were telling me that hops and the IPA thing, the India Pale Ale, which is like the type of beer that everybody likes right now, came about in the old days back when they shipped beer from England to India. Is that right?
Correct. Okay. They found out hops is also a preservative. Not only does it provide the bitterings for the IPAs, but it also, the lower alphas also provide flavoring and aroma to some of the types of beers also. The IPAs came about when the Europeans were shipping beer to India and the Asian countries, and they put extra hops in there to preserve the beer so that it would be, drinkable when they got there. Of course, it became bitter. It was really an IPA. That's where IPA, Indian Pale Ale, that's where that comes from. Cool. So that was pretty interesting tidbit on hops.
Yeah, a little beer history that I never knew about. Now, is it okay if I pick one of these hops off?
Pick one of these that are...
Pick one that'd be the best.
And you can open them up. These hops have an oil in them, and the oil is called lupium. Okay. And you can actually see that. I'll let you
show that real quick.
Show that up in there. So that's actually what that yellow. It's an oil actually.
Gotcha.
And some types have a higher concentrate of that, and that's where you get your bitterings for your IPA. Others don't have a higher out there, around 4 or 5 alpha. Okay. And those right there, you use them for bitterings. For aroma and flavorings.
So this stuff is really, really sticky, guys, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's like pollen. It's like a yellow, sticky pollen, and hops are a member of the cannabis family.
They are cannabis. In fact, all these ladies out here are females.
Yeah, so all these are females. Cool. So if you had a male in the bunch, would that ruin your...
You don't want a male. You don't want them to pollinate. You don't want to get anything with seeds or anything like that.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if they even have seeds, to be honest with you. We don't have any males.
Okay.
But they usually, and they will grow about 20 feet. Our lines are 20 foot. This year we had an infestation of Japanese beetles that got us early. Yeah. So we did an early harvest rather than lose the crop. So as you can see, we've cut them all. I left them about 4 feet because I figured we'd get some more, and it looks like we are doing pretty good. So we will probably get a second harvest out of it. It just won't be all the way up to the top.
Okay. And he was telling me the infrastructure that you have to put up for these is pretty significant. There's a cable system running across the top. There's a cable system across the bottom. He uses drip irrigation. This season he pulled the hops off because they had an infestation of Japanese beetles, and you don't want to put any kind of herbicide or insecticide anywhere near these plants before you consume them. So you took the hops that you harvested here and you made some...
We actually did a fresh hop brew. We picked them on Thursday morning. We brewed Thursday afternoon, and we actually put them right in the brew itself. So that's like a once in a year thing that you get when you do a fresh hop.
And you still have some of that?
Oh yeah. Okay. We kegged it yesterday. Nice. So it's still got about 4 days to carbonate, and then it should be ready probably this weekend, or by next weekend it'll be ready. Cool. The rest of them we did dry, and we vacuum seal them, then we freeze them, and we use them throughout the year, and they'll last about a year and a half in that state.
Now, do you sell hops? Do you ship hops out or anything like that?
We don't. The first 2 years we were up, we actually sold hops to a local brewery. Actually, it was Two Witches in Danville. Okay. Give them a plug.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they're good guys, and that was the only brewery that was around, and that was kind of inspired us to go to the next steps with opening up a brewery.
Cool. Well, guys, we'll put a link down below in case you're wondering where this place is. We are near Martinsville, Virginia. We're in Southwest Virginia, near Danville or Martinsville, Virginia, kind of close to the North Carolina, Virginia line in the foothills of the Blue Ridge. And in a minute, we'll show you the view out here. It's really, really cool. They have a tasting room. They have live music on Sundays. It's a great place if you want to come and tour a hops farm and educate yourself. I'd never even seen hops, but I've been curious about growing them on our farm because tobacco used to be the big cash crop around these parts, and it's not so much the big cash crop anymore. We'll see. Hops may be the thing to grow here on the farm, on our farm.
I would like to see the hop industry take off in Virginia because
Yeah.
I think it's a pliable crop to actually make money on if it's done right.
Yeah.
And like some of the downfalls are that most breweries want to use pelletized hops, which is processed.
Right.
We use whole hops. We dry these guys out. We, like I say, we vacuum seal them and we freeze them. But we have to filter them. Our system is small enough where we are able to put these in a filtered bag, and they don't get in the system and clog it up. The pellets dissolve, so that's why a lot of breweries really like the pellets. Honestly, I'd like to see a processing plant down here.
Yeah.
I think that would enable more people to grow hops and do something with them, because I think that's one of our things is people just don't know what to do with them.
Okay.
If they do grow them, if they get that information about what they're about.
Gotcha. So this is what hops looks like. These are the leaves to hops. Beautiful, beautiful plant. These are the actual hops, and it's a flower. Am I right?
It comes out as a flower, and then
Okay.
it turns in to the hop cone.
Cool. Awesome. So just a beautiful plant, a really beautiful plant, and it's kind of sticky. Almost tobacco's kind of sticky too if you've never handled tobacco, and there's also some other herbals that are popular in Colorado and California that are sticky too. So similar to those stickiness, I guess.
And also too, if you feel, and this is called a vine with a B, not a V.
Okay.
Like a vine, even though it looks like a vine, it's called a vine. And the vine has got little, if you feel it, it's like kind of like a little prickly. So there's no, deers don't fool with it. No animal really eats them.
Cool.
So we don't even have to worry about really fencing them in. So that's why you
Nice.
see no,
No
guarded
deer
fence
fence.
or
Yeah,
anything.
awesome.
The deer come through here, but they eat
They
the grass and clover and stuff that's here.
Gotcha.
But they don't fool with these.
Well, guys, I hope you learned a little bit about hops here, and I hope you learned a little bit about growing hops. We're going to talk a little bit about the soil and the pH and the drainage. So you have an irrigation system here.
We use an 1/8-inch steel line here. We use it also for tie-off, so we can tie our strings up,
Okay.
and also on the top. But we also use this to connect the drip line system in too.
Now, every year you cut the vines down to the ground and you mulch it in, is that right?
Yep, and
Okay.
the end of the season, we'll cut them all the way to the ground. I mean, right to the ground. We like to put some nutrients in. We'll try to put some. These guys like a lot of nitrogen.
Okay.
So we'll put some nitrogen-based fertilizer in. Have used rabbit manure. We've used actually llama manure from one of the farms to try
Cool.
that. But the rabbits seem to work really well. And then we'll cover them with mulch. And then in the spring they'll start popping out. Let them grow about 1 foot to 18 inches. That first growth we want to get rid of. We cut them back down again, and then they really come out. Those are the ones that we actually train, and you have to train them. So you actually have to start them in a clockwise motion. Once you
Okay.
start them on a string, then they know what to do and they take off.
Gotcha. So when I first came out, I looked at the hops here and I saw how they were climbing up these strings, and this is a coconut-based string. As it was climbing up the string, it seemed that every one of them was going in a clockwise motion. So I asked him, are they right-handed or left-handed hops or something like that? Is there, but he said he has to train them all the way up these vines, and you're at about 20 feet high at the high point in the hops here. So really cool, really cool. We'll go in and we'll talk about the brewery and the brew area here in just a second. I hope you guys are learning stuff. So tell me a little bit about the infrastructure that we've got here for the hops.
Well, the infrastructure on the hops grow about 18 to 20 feet tall. We do a Y system or V system so that it gives you a little bit better airflow. It hopefully it mediates the downy powdery mildew a little bit better, so it kind of airs them out a little bit. You get them dried a little bit quicker with air coming through them. Also, we use a small 1/8-inch gauge on the bottom. We use it for a tie-off for our strings, and we also use it for our drip irrigation. We use a coconut core to hold the weight of the hops.
So all natural string that's very, very tough.
Yep.
I'm gonna walk you around here a little bit and we'll talk to you as I walk and show you the infrastructure that we have here. Growing hops takes some infrastructure. You probably got somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 worth of infrastructure here on a third of an acre of hops. So it takes some infrastructure. Imagine if you're gonna do it on a 50-acre plot. You're gonna have some money in this and you're gonna have some time in it. And these guys, it's just the two of them. It's just a man and his wife, and it keeps them busy, real busy.
We have had volunteers that's helped us throughout the season for harvesting. We had about 25 people come out. This is a small enough field where we can hand harvest, so we can come and pick them by hand. Bigger fields, anything over probably a third acre, you know, when you get into a half acres and all that, they also have a machine that will actually harvest them. It actually pulls the cones off of the vine and drops them in a hopper, so it's all automated, so you don't have to do that. You just cut them down, lay them in this machine, and it'll actually, it's a harvester.
Cool. Now, we put him on the spot here. We just stopped by and said, hey, you want to talk about your hops on YouTube? Sure. So, guys, if you like this kind of stuff, be sure you pound that like button. Let me know. I like this stuff because we're going to be going to visit a bunch of farms. We have a little surprise for you. We're calling it Farm Stock 2018, and we're going to be stopping at several farms all over the country later on this year, and I think you're really, really going to like it. We're going to get some t-shirts and all kinds of fun stuff. So be sure you subscribe to the channel, pound that like button, and let's walk around the hops and show you a little bit of the infrastructure here. So what we have here is a series of poles, and then you have support guy wires with turnbuckles on them. These wires run across the top of the hops, and as he was saying, they split up top. So one wire runs all the way across the top, and then there's a support, basically giant trellis up here that holds these hops in place and allows him to grow them spaced out. And we'll get you a little bit better shot of what's going on here. So there are 2 rows of string, one row here and then one row over here, and they basically support the hops. Now we're at about 4 feet high right now, and that's what he said we cut them back to after we harvest. And this one is just growing really, really nice. You can look out through here, and it's just a lot of infrastructure to grow these hops. Now if you look down low, there's another cable that runs through here, and the drip irrigation system runs through. If you also look, the medium, the soil that this is planted in, has a lot of mulch in it because it has to drain really fast. You can't leave hops wet or they'll get a fungus on them. So guys, we're going to walk on over here to the brewery and the tasting room and show you a little bit about what's going on. This video is more about hops and what it takes to grow hops and just showing you a little bit about it. But we thought we'd take you over here and show you the venue that we have here in case you're in Southwest Virginia and you want to stop by. By the way, this is really small. This is a real small family operation. This is this fella's backyard. So check out this beautiful, beautiful view. Really awesome. Check it out. Look at that. You can just see for miles and miles. Beautiful rolling hills in the Virginia countryside. So don't go taste wine, come taste some beer. Also have an outside sitting patio. Nice, and a fire pit, and they have live music on Sundays.
This right here actually was just a storage building when we moved down here about 5 years ago. So we gutted this, and this is what we did 2 winters ago. We actually put this up. So I was doing homebrew. We had the hops. We had a tasting room per se. So the next thing was, wow, let's see what it is to do a brewery down here.
So you guys have all heard of farm to table. Now we've got ground to glass. I never even heard of that. It's pretty cool. So the next step is going to check out the brewery area. Is it okay if we go look at that?
Sure.
All right.
So this is the brewery. Welcome to the brewery. This is all homemade stuff, but it works. We do about 45 gallons at a time. First of all, what we do is we take grain and we'll crush the grain here, and it just crushes it enough just to break the shell on it. It's a grinder. This right here is the hot liquor tank. This right here keeps your temperature of your wort as it's going through to sparge for your grain. This is your mash tun. The mash, basically you've got grain in there. You're trying to get all the sugars and starches that you can because you're making a base to actually feed yeast. Once you do your mash, you put it in your boil kettle. After it goes in the boil kettle, this is when you actually start your boil. You'll actually add your hops in here. You add your bittering hops at the beginning of the boil. You add some of your aromas and flavoring hops at the end of the boil. Any other flavors, fruits and stuff like that, you can also add into this. Once it boils for about 60 minutes or so, then you want to cool it down. You're at about 212 degrees at a boil. Then you want to cool it down as quick as you can to about 68 to 70 degrees, depending on what you're brewing. Cool it down. We actually put it in a fermenter. Once we put it in the fermenter is where we add the yeast. Once you add the yeast does all the rest of the work basically. And as you can see, this guy right here is fermenting. The yeast eats the sugars and the starches. It produces alcohol and CO2. This is the CO2 that's being released from the yeast doing their job.
So guys, what you're seeing here is a large vat, and that's full of beer that's working, and this tube is going down into a bucket of water as a water seal, and all that bubbling is CO2 that's coming off of this beer as it gets done brewing, and has to maintain a pretty constant temperature. So there's an air conditioning cooling unit back here that helps this work. This is a small time setup. It's like you said, it's farm to glass, and it's awesome. Guys, thanks a lot for watching the channel today. I hope you learned a little bit about brewing, about hops, about all sorts of fun stuff. And be sure and click that like button. Check out online Mountain Valley Hops. We'll leave a link down to the website, and come and check this place out. If you're in Southwest Virginia or North Carolina and you're wanting a cool place to go on a Sunday afternoon or a Friday or Thursday or Saturday or anytime you want some beer, you can come to Mountain Valley Hops. So guys, come on back and see us here on the Stoney Ridge Farm and Mountain Valley Hops. We'll check you next time. All right? Woo!
Well, come on down to the Stoney Ridge. Bring your wife and bring your kids. We're living life pure and sweet. That's the way it's supposed to be, Stoney Ridge. Woo!
I've never been served a beer at 9:30 in the morning. This will be a first.